Welcome to Star Citizen, and today we're taking a look at the Anvil Arrow, the light fighter that is really common in this game. You can rent it, you can buy it, you can get a starter pack with it. When I have referred to light fighters, it has usually been Gladius, Blade, and the Arrow. From the raw stats, we can pretty much say it is in its fragility equal to the Blade, but then again it is not as maneuverable and doesn't have as much hydrogen fuel than the other two. It does have the smallest dimensions here, and perhaps the smallest combat speed, but also the smallest signatures. You can get pretty much the same amount of DPS or alpha damage out of the Arrow as you can get out of the Gladius. So why isn't it as good as Gladius? It's not as maneuverable, but there's one other thing. The Arrow has only a single shield, and that is truly painful. The Blade and Gladius have two, and that is why this ship is on the weaker side. It cannot sustain enough damage to survive jousting bursts, to survive dogfighting, to survive combat like the Gladius can. Now the stock loadout is quite unpleasant, especially with the military grade C quantum drive. You pretty much need to make a pit stop going from any planet to another just to refuel the quantum fuel. For my own loadout, of course, I have swapped it out and put on military grade equipment. Just because it's a light fighter, it's already fragile. Perhaps it can survive a bit longer, or at least not get disabled mid-combat. For myself, I have picked all weapons attritions, 2 attrition 1s attached to the turret, and 2 attrition 3s that are fixed. Now the turret is not that vital. I personally wish we could swap it out for another attrition 3 perhaps, or just put 2 attrition 2s there, actually giving this ship some firepower, because the main thing it is lacking is an extra shield. But having more firepower might also give it a bit more interesting twist. But still, it is the most used light fighter, I believe. I believe it were the developers, the CIG, that released data that this was actually the most used light fighter, or perhaps even one of the most used ships. On the outside, this ship doesn't really have much. There isn't anything to store. It does have a nice way it is in its landing gear position. When the wings are up, the landing gear is down, so it's really compact. But it doesn't really have any extra things like the Gladius. Gladius, you can store weapons, you have access to the inventory, you have access to some of the modules. This one is just as plain as it comes, but it does have a beautiful look and a good feel. Even if you do lose the wings, you do not lose the firepower, because all the weapons are attached pretty close to the hull. You have the simple double size 1 turret on the top, and the 2 size 3s are attached pretty close to the hull, roughly touching the wings. Personally, I like this ship. It's simple. It is even part of my starter pack. It is my starter ship. But if I would ever do PvP with this, I think I would rather go for ballistics and try to make as much of those as I can, rather than try to fight against other players with laser weapons. Seeing as I probably won't survive long, I would gladly hit like a hammer as long as I do. For PvE scenarios, yeah, this is agile, it's a small target to hit. It does come with size 2 rockets, and you can attach 2 size 3s instead of 4 size 2s. So it does have decent firepower, and it's all pretty well pointed straightforward. Now as for the cockpit, it does look out quite nicely. You cannot see down, but you can see up ahead and you can see above. What really bothers me is I need to change my screen setup inside the ship every time, because the 2 most important screens for me are just below where I need to look separately. So I would love to have them swapped for the upper screens to be lower and lower screens to be upper. Actually not forcing me to change it every time. But I truly suggest everyone try this ship. I like it a lot. It's very simple, it's very basic. It works for most scenarios that you plan to do. It is not too strong, but then again, it is a light fighter. It's meant to sting a little, it's meant to be maneuverable. It is maneuverable, although it may not stand up to the test against the best. Anyway, thanks for watching.